for watching Numbskull News, and today we're going to get into Big 12 hate. Apparently, I watch the Monty show quite often, and they have a section of the program there where they're reading off different comments that people are putting on their stream. And one guy was, giving the Big 12 or the Pac 12 some crap. And, they were really kind of puzzled, like, okay, why is there so much hate from Big 12 fans towards the Pac 12? Well, I'm going to get into that. But before I do, I want to say I did my first live stream this past Sunday. It had about, I think, at its peak, had about 60 people watching. Had, some good engagement on the comments there. A couple thousand people watched it afterwards. So I just want to say thank you. I see that as a success. It's not near the numbers of other channels, but I don't expect to get what other channels do. I think that's good for my channel. I think that's good for first time out. And I just wanted to say thanks for those who watched, live or after. That's really cool. And I think I'm going to do that every Sunday. Also, Numbskull News now is on Twitter. So if anyone wants to get on Twitter and see what other stupid crap I want to say on there, and I'll post whenever I go live on there, and whenever I do another video, I'll put it on Twitter. So there'll be that for those who give a damn. And before I get to the main topic, I want to talk about some rumors that have been going around. Let's start with Fox News getting involved with the Pac-12. I think that's a load of horse shit. I think it's a media fabrication they got put out there. Because you had, who was it, Canzano, that said, yeah, Fox is back involved. And then you had guys like Dennis Dodd and another big-time media guy, I can't remember his name. But, they were like, no, we checked. There's nothing to that. And there's no reason to believe Fox would be involved. I mean, they got the Big 10, they got the Big 12. They got a full plate. All right, it's not like they have a big-time ESPN Plus app out there. They don't. They don't have exactly all the platforms that ESPN does, so that they have a limited amount of space for the crap, for the Pac-12. So I just don't think that they're interested at all. And that was pretty much a fabrication just to try to give some positive spin to the Pac-12, which generally in most news cycles is pretty horrible. There's nothing good going on at all. Also, there was a rumor that ESPN is working with Oregon and Washington, trying to get them to the Big 12. And usually I would say, that sounds sketchy. That sounds like some BS. But I will say it has, a little pinch of reality to it. It makes some logical sense that they would want the two biggest brands to still be on an ESPN property, which is the Big 12. And not lose it to the Big 10, which is a Fox property. So I think they would like those ratings to transfer over to ESPN networks. Does that mean that that's true? No, it doesn't mean that's true. I'm just saying it does make some logical sense. Now, part of the rumors is, they're trying to maybe give them a signing bonus, maybe. I don't know if that would work, or have a grant of rights that they can get out of quickly. The only thing I will say about a grant of rights with the Big 12 concerning Oregon and Washington, I think it's smart. I think it would be smart for Brett Yormark if, I'm sure he has talked to them. I'm sure they have talked to the Big 12. Don't let anyone tell you any differently. I believe pretty much every team inside and every program inside the Pac-12 has talked to the Big 12. And I think it would be wise. I don't agree with unequal revenue share at all. That's not what the Big 12 is about. I don't think anyone should be for that whatsoever. But to give them a possible early out of the grant of rights without penalty would be a smart move to get them in, as an incentive to come in, if the Big 10 doesn't offer. Because if the Big 10 invites them, then there's no getting them. They're gone. But there's a better than good chance that never happens, even with Oregon and Washington willing to come in for less money, But on the long term, they will eventually become a full member. You see what I'm saying? And a lot of those presidents in the Big Ten may say, you know what, they may never be worth a full membership, and then they'll get a full membership. So even on the short term for short money, no. Because eventually, long term, they'll get the big money, and they're not worth the big money. So there is that. I've said it before. I think it'd be a wise move for Brett Yormark to, say, okay, look, and this was my idea. This was my plan. Please, if anyone wants to use it, Brett Yormark wants to watch this little dumbass channel and use that idea, fine. If you come in, you have to be in for 3 years. After 3 years, you have the ability to leave if the Big Ten or the SEC or another conference, a big conference, wants you. You can write that into the contract. You can have a little stipulation there, article whatever. After you got to be here for 3 years. After the 3-year mark, if you find a landing spot, if you get an invite to the Big Ten or the SEC, you can go, no penalty, no exit fee, no nothing. You can just go. But if not, then you're here till 2031. So you got a window. You got one window after 3 years to leave. Because we need you here for 3 years. I would be negotiable with at least 2 years, but I would say 3 years and you can leave. And if there's no place for you to go, if you don't have an invite, the Big Ten still doesn't want you, then you're here till 2031. And at 2031, there won't be an exit fee in 2031 if then the Big Ten wants you. All right. But if not, of course, you have a home here. As far as ESPN offering them some kind of signing bonus, does that make sense for ESPN? Maybe. I'm kind of 50-50 on that, whether that would be something I would actually believe. Now if it gets reported as fact, then that's different. But right now it's still in the rumor category, so you kind of have to, I don't know, I try to use some kind of logic. And I'm like, okay, does that make logical sense for ESPN to give them a signing bonus? And how big would this signing bonus have to be for them to go to the Big 12? So that's another question. I haven't heard any numbers or figures. So, but I do believe Oregon and Washington have talked to the Big 12. I believe ESPN has talked to them. And maybe some rudimentary ideas have been bandied about what that would look like, what ESPN could do above and beyond to get them into the conference. In other words, beyond the pro rata. Some of that talk may have happened. But is there anything pen to paper? Absolutely not. Not saying that. I don't think Oregon and Washington are going to make any moves at all until the Big Ten gets a new commissioner and they get a chance to speak with that commissioner and kind of see where they are as far as joining the Big Ten at that point. I think once they get, okay, it's not going to happen, then maybe the Big 12 thing picks up a little more steam and actually becomes a little bit more of a real chance of happening. Or, between that or sticking in the Pac-12 and maybe Apple TV or whatever. All right, now let's get to this Big 12 hate, right? This is what the Monty Show was worried about, or not really worried about. They were questioning. They didn't understand why this commenter, on their video, on their live stream, on their show, they weren't sure where all this animus and hate were coming from. And I get it. They're Pac-12 people. They don't really, even though I'm a fan of their show, I think they have really good personalities. It's a fun show. But they don't understand this because they're not a Big 12 person. They haven't been through the ringer of the Big 12, all right? So let me give you some history. Let me let you understand why the Big 12, why people like me, I have a certain amount of animus towards the Pac-12. Not the fans necessarily, although there are a few assholes, but the conference itself, the people who run the conference, the presidents and all of this crap, there's a certain amount of animus. All right, because they're pompous, they're arrogant, and it shows. I don't like that. A lot of Big 12 fans, people who grew up in Texas, in Oklahoma, Kansas, Iowa, Virginia, places like that where the arrogance is a big turnoff and we don't like it. We don't like it at all. As a matter of fact, you kind of come across as like an old school wrestling villain, a Ric Flair, but without the woo and without the coolness, right? You're just an asshole. That's how it comes across. One of the ways it came across, Texas and OU left the Big 12. So all these teams are calling every place trying to find a landing spot. And I'm sure all the 8 remaining schools called the Pac-12. The Pac-12 told them to go kiss ass, right? But that was, that's just a small piece. I don't really blame them for that. I'm really glad they didn't take teams at that point. Or else, I wouldn't have a conference to root for right now. So that's not the big part. The big part is we added 4 new schools. Then there was an alliance done between the Big Ten, the ACC, and the Pac-12. No one picked up a phone to call the Big 12 and say, hey, join us in the alliance. Even though the alliance was bullshit, even though the Big Ten had knives out for everybody, including the ACC. The only reason Florida State's not in the Big Ten is because of that grant of rights going to 2036. They would have stabbed them in the back too, just like they did the Pac-12 with USC. What happened? We got shut out, even though the alliance was complete bullshit. But it was still like, okay, you still feel some kind of way about us. I kind of get it from the Big Ten's perspective. I get it a little bit. I get it a little bit with the academic profile thing, right? Because I can see that with the Big Ten, because it's not just academics. It's not just that. It's also the overall value of that conference is monstrous. They have schools that have monstrous value. So I kind of understood why they didn't want Kansas. And I'm saying that on purpose. There's a lot of people online thinking Kansas is still going to go to the Big Ten. Dumbasses. So I can understand why they didn't want Kansas. They didn't want TCU. They didn't want Baylor. They didn't want any of those remaining 8 schools. They didn't want any part of the 4 schools that the Big 12 took in. Because the value just wasn't there. So I guess they didn't think about, asking us to join an alliance at that point. They wanted the more powerful conferences. I understood that. ACC, they're kind of grounded together until 2036. It's going to be nearly impossible for them to get out of that. Then there was the Pac-12, who they already had a knife in their back. They just haven't felt it yet. USC and UCLA were already going to leave at that point. I guarantee you phone calls had already been made. That may have been the main reason to have the alliance in the first place, because they knew they were going to go after USC and UCLA. Think about that shit. But the Pac-12 had no problem shutting us out. Had no problem shutting us out of that alliance. And then once UCLA and USC did leave, then there goes George Kliavkoff running his mouth about Brett Yormark. Oh, they're just throwing grenades. They're trying to be disruptive. They're trying to destroy our cohesion as a conference. They're coming after us. But he never said boo. He didn't say jack shit about the Big Ten. The Big Ten did come after you. They did stab you in the back. They took Southern California from you. I mean, imagine that. A Pac-12 without Southern California. They did that. They did it on purpose in your little alliance. And you're going to blame the Big 12. All the Big 12 said is, hey, we're open for business. Anybody want a landing spot, come talk to us. It's all that was said. It's all that was said. Sure, was Brett Yormark working the media? Absolutely. He's been working the media the whole time. He's brilliant at it, unlike Kliavkoff. Was it any kind of major attacks on y'all? No, of course it wasn't. Of course it wasn't. And don't blame us for ESPN not wanting to do business with you. That's not on us. Oh, but they're quick to point the finger at us. They're not going to point the finger at the Big Ten as they should have. They were the culprit here, not us. So that's where a lot of that animus comes from. And then, of course, then you get the fans wanting to pile on, well, that's just a crap conference. And it's not just the fans. If it was just the fans, that'd be one thing. But when it's actual Pac-12 big-time media people, Wilner, Canzano, and a few others talking about academics and how we're like some substandard conference, we're some trailer park conference or a truck stop conference, which I never understood the truck stop conference thing. Truck drivers make good money. Trailer park, there ain't no money in a trailer park. But that's where the animus comes from. It's from the Pac-12 media, the Pac-12 presidents, Kliavkoff. It's a lot of arrogance, a lot of stuck-up BS bullshit, wanting to look down their nose at us. So we're tired of it. So every time something bad happens to you, we see it as karma. Oh, you got a problem getting him. Oh, Apple TV, huh? Apple TV, huh? $9 million from ESPN? Wow. That's a lot of money. I mean, that's a damn good deal in 1972. Woo! That'd be great for 1972. Unfortunately, we're in 2023. That's where the animus comes from. That's where the hate, if that's what you want to call it. And there's nothing wrong with sports hate, all right? We don't have to be kumbaya when it comes to sports. As a matter of fact, we shouldn't be, okay? Look, through the history of America, we've had plenty of hate, all right? Just nasty, blood-filled, crappy, evil hate, all right? What you look at history, Black history, you look at Native American history, Asian American history, hell, white on white history. There's been a lot of hate and a lot of evil and a lot of blood that got spilt over it. So to me, humans are, we're pretty hate-filled people. Humans are bastards, man. We're not great, creatures at all. And well, there's always going to be hate when you have anytime you have humans. Anytime you have humans, you're going to have hate. So if we direct that hate into sports, something that doesn't matter, something that doesn't affect your life, no one's going to get killed over it. No one's really getting oppressed over it, right? No one's getting put into slavery. No one's getting tossed into reservations, or internment camps or anything else. It's just sports hate. That's fine. And hate's the most natural thing in the world on the human level, unfortunately. This is why we're kind of fallen creatures here. We're not, we're not great. We're really not. Hate is kind of part of our nature. And hate what we don't understand is part of our nature. But we all understand sports. And we're all tribal. That's also very natural. Big 12 fans, they come in all shapes, sizes, and colors. Same thing with Pac-12 fans. Or any fan. So, for all of us to kind of get, you talk about Pac-12 fans, that's every type of person under the sun. So, when we all join together and revel in our hate for the Pac-12, oh well, who cares, right? Like I said, it's sports hate. It's like play school hate. It's not real. It's not even real hate. I don't hate any individual. I don't hate John Canzano. I hate some of the crap he writes, the BS, the propaganda, but I don't hate the man. I don't know the guy. It's not that serious. It's sports. And it's all about fun. That's what it's about. It's about a good, honest time waste. So if I can direct my hate, because I don't have hate for anybody, but if I can have some hate for a conference, perfectly fine. It's perfectly natural. So yeah, that's just something that Monty Show I don't think could really absorb because they're not Big 12 fans. Not really. They haven't really lived and died with the conference. So, which is okay. That's why I made the video. So people who don't understand it, you can understand where we're coming from. All right, we're the little engine that could. We're not supposed to be here. The Big 12 is supposed to be dead. But right now, we're kind of thriving and we're not at our ceiling. We can grow. There's potential. And we got a really good leader who's thinking outside the box, opening up new revenue streams for this son of a bitch to be a great conference and be alive as a real competitive conference decades from now. So that's what's exciting. So now we're in a position where we can kind of pee on the ashes of the Pac-12 if we want to. That doesn't, if you're a Pac-12 fan, you're not going to like that, but tough shit. We didn't like what your organization did. We didn't like how we were treated or talked about for a long time. So now tables have turned, and now you're the trailer park. You're the one with the big ass propane tank in your backyard. You're the one on food stamps. You're the one eating government cheese. You're the one drinking Shasta Cola. It's not us. All right? We're not eating filet mignon. We don't have that, but it's at least a good round steak. we at least have that. Maybe even a sirloin. We may even be at sirloin level right now. And we may not have a glass of fine wine, but damn it, we have a nice glass of Dr. Pepper. And that's better than Dr. Shasta. Anyway, thanks for watching this crap, and I'll be back with some other crap later. Bye.